morning, YouTube. This morning we're at KNUC on San Clemente Island, and I think we'll just take off and fly around the island, have a look. And then I'll come back after we've had a good look around the island. I was thinking around just flying around the perimeter, and then maybe if there's anything of interest nearby, we'll fly to that or over the island. You know, we'll just kind of sightsee, see how it goes, and go from there. But it looks like I see a helicopter floating around over there, and it looks like he has something underneath it, like maybe there's a ladder or something extended out front of it, or maybe he's dumping water. I can't quite tell from the distance I'm at. No, well, of course now I don't see it at all. Yeah, so if we see anything of interest, we'll just head towards it, have a look. Have some other things I can show you as well. Alright, let me go ahead and start this aircraft up and get it programmed for the RNAV landing. The heading bug should already be where it needs to be. VOR1 is already where it needs to be. I may only need to do set the approach, so there may not be much programming that we need to do for this flight. Yeah, it looks like it still has everything in there from before. So all I'll need to do when we're ready to land is just activate. I'll click the prop button, activate approach, and we'll be good to go. Okay, and the VOR in this area, or the two that are here on this island, they do not work, so there's no sense in even messing with those. Alright, let's get in the air. As you can see, change the color of the Snak Air from green to more of a maroon or a burgundy color there. And if you hadn't already noticed, in the cockpit, this is no longer carbon fiber, it's just a nice dark gray or a black color. Releasing the brakes for taxi. This file, the cockpit is actually, I used the default Cessna 172 SP file that had the beige seats and the kind of grayish cockpit. I used that and flipped it to be gray seats, and I know how to do the seat belts and the trim on the seats, so I set those to burgundy. I'll show you those in a minute. And then I also did some of the threading. I didn't do all of it, but the threads for the seat, I put some burgundy in there. I'm not really happy with how that turned out, but most of the other stuff looks alright. So the aircraft livery, however, is still the Snak Air Livery. Since I was doing the, I needed something to do, and I wasn't ready to start on just a blank canvas yet, so I just flipped the colors for the Snak Air Livery. I like the green much better than the maroon, but in messing or learning with the image manipulation software that I'm using, I was just messing with something I had on hand. I do kind of like this cockpit better without the carbon fiber, just having the nice dark look to it. And that's, what is that, an aircraft coming in for a landing, and here I am on the runway. That's convenient. But that looks like a helicopter. Alright, I need to look at my flap setting because I'm not sure what I have it at. let's get in the air. Yeah, it's a helicopter, I think. That actually really closely examining it. And we're lifting off. I didn't really rotate. Turn the lens back to right side. So the island doesn't look like it's that wide, but if I'm not mistaken, from what little I read about it, it's like 23 miles, 21 or 23 miles, and I could be mistaken. Other than it being a military base and the things that I said in the other video about there being a $21 million city on there that they use for urban military training operations and things like that, that Navy SEALs train on this island, that they do ship-to-shore target practice on this island, those things, that there are 143 or 140 some people that live on the island, those things I got from Wikipedia. And I don't remember much else about what I read. It was a couple days ago that I read it. But it is still very active. It is owned and operated by the military. I need to trim some. It's still wanting to nose up on me. Yeah, so now instead of having green struts, we've got maroon struts. Now the threading that I was telling you about here, that actually looks all right today. When I was looking at it yesterday, I wasn't happy with how it looked, but that actually looks pretty good right now. So I might go ahead and finish that, because like I said, I wasn't happy with how it was looking yesterday for some reason, but I'm liking the way it looks this morning. And then I did the seat belts and the trim, and this is, well, with the sunlight being the way that it is, it actually doesn't look gray in here. It looks kind of beige. I'm making myself seasick. But this is gray. I flipped the default beige to gray. And if you notice on the carpet, if it were the Snak Air Livery, let me get in the back seat and look down. If it were the Snak Air Livery, they had their green painted trim here. So this is not the Snak Air cockpit livery. It's like I said, the default Cessna and one that I flipped of theirs. And then for the external and the wings, for the fuselage and the wings, that is the Snak Air Livery. I just flipped the colors. Did I put the flaps up or not? Yeah, flaps are up, but this thing is just nosing up on me significantly this morning. I was kind of wanting to get it to level out and then just kind of, you know, float around the island, so to speak. It's not much to it. I was kind of hoping for more. It almost looks like there's very little vegetation. I might like to fly around this in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and have a comparison of what this island is like. So, yeah, if you haven't, subscribe and like and thumbs up, notification bell if you want notifications for videos and whatnot. But what I was really getting at is leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of this color, this maroon for the Snak Air Livery. Do you like the green? Or do you like the maroon? Do you like the thread maroon, or am I just wasting my time with that? I mean, how often do you kind of look back on your seat? But when you're looking over there, you know, it kind of looks cool. So I think I'll finish that. Get that up there, red, and then that right there, maroon. Not red, but maroon. And then I might think about changing the color on this to a maroon, the edges of the carpet. I might do that. But if I do that, that's about all I'll do for adjustments for this particular flipped livery. I do like the cockpit, the panel, but the adjusting the seats from beige to gray, it really wasn't that much of a challenge. That didn't take that long. The threading is taking a long time for the seats, because I'm having to copy and paste each little thread. It wasn't something that I could just flip the color on easily enough because of it being gray. So I'm having to, you know, use a selection tool, copy a piece, change, you know, colorize it, give it a burgundy or maroon color, and then paste it back in there, and then paste over each thread. And that's what's taking some time. And I think with the trim on the rug, that will take some time. I'm going to have to use a paintbrush or something and spray paint over it and get it to a maroon color. And I'll have to probably zoom in pretty good on it in order to do it without making it look ugly, or spreading the maroon color, or accidentally painting on the actual carpet instead of just the edging of the carpet. But yeah, there's not much to this island. It doesn't look like, it's very I'm sure it would be cool to live there, you know, be able to just kind of go out on the beach, maybe even explore some, so long as you're staying away from whatever zone they're doing their ship-to-shore firing practice, target practice. That'd be kind of scary, you know, having dinner one night, and boom, you know, your dishes start rattling on the table because they're live firing on the island. Make you feel like you're in a war zone. But I suppose that's something you could get used to. And they probably don't do it that often. I don't know. It would be interesting to know. Yeah, I was really wanting to get like a candy apple red, but unfortunately the way the color rotating works, I wasn't able to get it to be anything more than a maroon. I could get it lighter and darker, but I couldn't get it to be more of a red, you know, like a bright red. And that's really what I was trying to go for initially. So I went with the maroon. But for me, and I mean, I do like the color, but for me, I really prefer the green. I'm a big green fan, but after green, red is a color that I like. So that maroon, it doesn't look so bad to me. And then with the sun reflecting off of it, it actually looks pretty good. Trying to get it from a different angle. One thing I learned about early on with the, which I'm using the GIMP to do this. I don't want to pay the money to buy Adobe Photoshop or anything. So I'm using the GIMP, but one of the things I learned right off was layers, and I really like that because I can interact with one layer and not affect anything else in the file whatsoever. Not to mention, you know, I'm not even really, though I'm modifying the file or using it as a base, I'm not saving over the file, so I always have the base file to start out with as my, you know, I guess canvas, as you might say. It always remains the same, and I'm just making adjustments within the program, saving it within the GIMP saved file, and can always revert back to the base image at any time. And once I have it the way that I like it, I just export it as a different file name. One thing I've noticed too, so I didn't fix that yet, that little piece up there that kind of looks out of place, or like paint's peeled off or something. And I lost my train of thought. I was going to say something about the GIMP. But for a free program, it does a lot of interesting things, much of which I still have yet to learn. You know, I've only spent a little time with it, and I have been able to do, each day it seems like I'm able to figure out a little bit more, but there also seems to be so much to it. I'm kind of wondering, should I buy a book and just kind of glance at this book and teach myself better how to use this program, or do I just keep messing with it and learning by exploring? Or so alright, I'm going to go ahead and jump on the G530 here, activate the approach, we'll fly to that and do the landing. I'm going to engage autopilot here, do an altitude hold, and set it to nav for GPS. But it's kind of cool, to make the changes and switch the files out in your library folder, and then check it out in Next Plane and see your handiwork. When I was flying one of the libraries the other day, the one where I had modified the default Snak Air Livery with the struts I had turned green, I was noticing on the landing gear, these right here are still black. So I had changed the landing gear struts, but I had not modified these to be green. So I went back and I made them green, and then after that was probably when I started making them maroon. So, what's going on here? It says it's flying me to the hold, but we're flying away from that line. So I'm trying to understand, what did I do wrong here? Nav GPS. That's set to GPS. That does say GPS, doesn't it? GPSS. My heading bug is set for the course. Alright, let's go back to flight plan. I should do heading first. Oh, okay, yeah. Let me just see. I started thinking, you know what I didn't check this morning? Magnetic north. And I was like, that's probably what my problem is. So, we're somewhere between 3 and N, 030 and north. So I'll wait until it, and I'm going to set it back to nav GPS, assuming it's going to do the right thing once I have it matched with magnetic north. And it still needs a little bit of an adjustment, but once it finishes its turn and straight and level, I'll adjust it some more. So now we're between 330 and 300. Looks close. But it's definitely getting us on track with the GPS. So once this lines up, we'll just pay attention to it, make sure it stays aligned. I think we're good now. My mistake for the day has been made. It's a lot clearer out here today than it was yesterday. Still flying real world weather, but I'm still flying around the same time frame that we were yesterday. Nice clear reflection of the island off the water. Yeah, I was hoping for more on the island, but it just kind of looks like a big mound of dirt. So I will be interested in seeing what Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 depicts it as. Oh, the threading even came back here. Cool. Yeah, see, there's one seat, so if I do the thread for one seat, it does it for all of them. So once I do the headpiece for one, it does it for all four. I was thinking about making that tail part, it's black right there. I was thinking about making that burgundy or some other color as well, getting it to match the rest of the paint, but I'm not sure yet whether or not I'm going to do that. Yeah, for the panel, I pretty much just went for the same color as the lower portion. In fact, I probably just used the color. I forget the name of the utility or the tool you use, but it just picks up the color, and then you can change it. So I used a tool called Colorize, and then the drop. I think it's called a drop. I used the drop to pick up the color, and then once it did that, it just filled in everything within that layer, or that color. But yeah, now that we don't have the lighting the way we did before, you can see how it's gray in here and not beige. I thought about changing these knobs to a different color, but well, I actually did change them, but I didn't like it, so I left them the way they are. Thinking about making this knob carbon fiber. As you can see too, the Snak Air Livery has a carbon fiber yoke, but you know what? I think that button's supposed to be red. I probably inadvertently changed that whole assembly right there to be gray. So I need to be mindful of that next time I work with this file, because I think that's supposed to be black, and then that button is supposed to be red. So I must have accidentally changed it. I need to figure out where that part is, set it in its own layer, and then adjust the colors. So I'm still learning. But other than that, that's the only thing I've noticed so far that just seemed wrong. Everything else seems like it's the color that it should be for the most part. Let me move that. The tips of these may have been white. I'll have to pay attention. I'll get in the default Cessna later, have a look at them, but they might be white, and right now they kind of look like they're just gray. So I've kind of blended the color there, possibly like I did for the throttle. That actually looks like a printed 3D piece. It doesn't look real. Alright, we are 7 miles from the hold. Runway's over here. Yeah, and that's the other thing I need to fix right there, is that little piece. I'm not sure why that did that, but maybe when I was doing the layers I accidentally cut it off of there. Good question. Something to look at. Found this the other day. I mean, I had been noticing an image file for a bobblehead, but I didn't know it was being put in the glove box. So I was like, you know, one day I opened up the glove box and I saw that bobblehead in there for Austin Meyer. Pretty funny. Tell you what, let me go ahead and switch the livery from this livery to just one of the defaults. We'll have a look at some of those. Let's just do default. There. Now you can see this is lighter in color, and these buttons, so no, they look about the same, so that didn't change at all. Now you can see we have the beige cockpit, no trim, black seat belts, and but here, see this piece here, it was all gray on mine, whereas this one actually says up, down, has a red button, and it's black. So yeah, I need to be mindful of that piece in my next go round when I work with this. But if we step outside now, we have our default. So I'm going to switch back just because I wanted to have a look, wanted y'all to be able to see as well. So livery adjustments, I think, is the one I'm using. I didn't take any screenshots or try to fix that yet, but that's something I can work on as well. Yeah, see, so I don't like that at all. That bothers me that I did that, but I didn't notice until today. But overall I like it. And it shouldn't take me too much. Even if I had to restart from the original file, it wasn't too much of an issue to create a layer of this. I created a layer. I had to use a selection tool and create a layer just for the upholstery and the seats. But sometimes it's kind of fun to do as well. It's not really a chore so much. It's just like you just gotta go through the steps, you know, and if you're using the selection tool, you just gotta be mindful of where you're selecting at so you don't end up with mistakes like that. You know, but it's doable. But yeah, I have had to do some things over, and that part gets a little irritating sometimes. So if I had to start from scratch, it would be a little irritating, but still doable. I could potentially pull up the default file, use the selection tool, cut the piece out that cut this piece out and just paste it on top of my file and have it looking normal again. Or I could readjust the whole file, you know, redo the colors. The thing is I'd have to redo the seats and the threading. This part's easy and the seat belts is easy, but changing these threads to a different color, that part, that's something I'm not going to want to change all the time. Once you get it, once you give it color though, it's easy to flip the color. So, but if it's gray, unless there's some way that I'm currently unaware of, I don't know how to flip a gray to a color, but I know how to change a color from one color to another. Anybody annoyed with that bobblehead yet? I am. Yeah, our island that we need to land at is behind us. What we're seeing over there is another island I might like to fly to and have a look at sometime. But I have a feeling that that island isn't going to be much more interesting to look at than the island that we're already at. I have not used the GIMP all that often. I was thinking it would remember all of my history, but I was sadly surprised to find yesterday that it didn't appear to remember all of my history for all of the changes that I had made. Once I exceeded a certain point, it's like it wouldn't go beyond that. So I don't know if there's a setting in there that I can change to have it remember more history of my changes so that I could potentially always go back to the base file, or if it only remembers back to a certain point, or if once you save it just blows all of your changes away. I don't know how all of that works yet, but I'm still learning the GIMP, and I am still happy with what it can do, and I just need to learn its limitations, and then for what I find, if they're modifiable limitations where I can expand upon and make them greater, I will. Like I said, greater capacity for history, being able to backtrack. Something I need to look into so that I don't have to keep starting from scratch. Because I have a feeling, with as many changes as I've made to the cockpit file, I'm not going to be able to easily revert back to a point at which this is the right color. So I'm going to have to carefully create a bunch of layers again, and then adjust things and hope I don't forget something the second time around. So you do kind of, or at least in my case, I've got to be very mindful of what I'm doing while I work with it so that I don't have to go back and do it again. Alright, looks like we're established on the localizer. I can probably click approach here. It automatically did glide slow for me. So I'm just going to monitor it. I'm going to turn my landing and taxi lights on, give it some flaps. Start slowing the aircraft down. I don't want to slow it down too much yet because I want to get the glide slope aligned first, and then I'll make sure I'm at 60 knots for the landing. Yeah, I'll make an adjustment to the cockpit file, update this library. I'll probably give it a better name than what I currently have. I think I just have it called library adjustment or something, but I'll give it a better, more apt name. And I'll probably fly it again sometime. Definitely keep it, reuse it. Alright, we should be starting our descent here shortly. Alright, and I'm backing down on the speed. I'm going to let it settle, and then I'm going to extend some more flaps. Just verify I did turn the landing and taxi back on. They're on. Doesn't look like we're perfectly aligned. I'm not really going to mess with it because I'm going to be taking it out of autopilot once we get closer. And I don't really ever expect perfection. I mean, it's nice when it's perfectly lined up, but I just don't want to mess with the adjustment of the heading indicator with magnetic north. I mean, it looked close enough, and so I think I've only used 2 stages of flaps this morning for the landing, not 3. Like many times I do. I just feel like doing 2 this morning just to be different. I'm going to have a look at the back of the plane just to see if we've got any winds that might be unaligning us. No, see, it looks like we're flying straight towards it. But yeah, so it's just got to be the magnetic north is off just by a degree or 2 that's making us offset. Now that area that I was talking about yesterday, it looks even more different today. It looks odd. It's got splotches and stuff on it, and what is that? That must be, that's weird. There's a flag, a reflection of a flag there. Yeah, that's weird. Weird graphics this morning. Alright, I'm disengaging the autopilot. Get us lined up a little bit better. Decreasing the throttle some. For the most part, trying to maintain my descent rate. Having to nose up a little bit for the loss of speed. Giving it a little bit more power. touchdown. And it was a rather long taxi, so I'll probably keep it at a pretty good clip until we get closer to the exit off of the runway. Flaps up. So yeah, let me know what y'all think of the livery, and if you can think of any changes you think I should make, things you don't like, or improvements here, adjustments there, suggestions, any of that is welcome. Love to hear it. Alright, slowing it down because my turn's coming up here. Another helicopter. I always enjoy seeing those myself. I should practice flying one around. I have in the past gotten pretty good at it, and if I can regain that skill, you know, I could potentially do some videos in a helicopter. I mean, it would be great for instances when we're, you know, in the canyon or at the Hoover Dam. Of course, the Hoover Dam wasn't something that I could fly to. Oh, here we are playing chicken again with the helicopter. So I'll be the chicken. But I was mentioning some lights, and I said on the runway, but actually it's on the taxiway. There were some lights yesterday, and I was thinking maybe helicopters land here, and that's why those lights were there. So with that helicopter hovering there like that, you know, makes me wonder if I was not incorrect. If I see those, or when I see those lights again, I'll point them out. In fact, I'm seeing them coming up. Right here. See, there's 3 on this side, 3 on this side, and 3 in the center there. So, and I think that's a Healy, a landing area. And if I remember, and I was partially, when I saw those lights, I was partially going by what I remembered seeing on the SkyVector site for that airport, that runway. There's like places for helicopter to land on each side of the runway, on the taxiway aspect actually. And I was wondering about that. I was like, why do they have them landing on the taxiway? So when I passed over those lights yesterday, I didn't make full mention of all that had been in, you know, I had been previously noticed, and as I am now, I'm revealing it. But I just noticed the lights, and I said, I wonder if helicopters land there. But in my mind, I was thinking, yeah, that's where they land. So I wonder if that aircraft from yesterday is, no, he's not parked there today. Okay. Alright, well, we'll take his spot. He was parked on a line. So a little bit further. And hitting the brakes. Okay, turn the avionics off. Engines off. Flaps are already up. And we are all ready for the replay. Just of the landing. We'll do it from this angle today, kind of out to sea. It was a pretty smooth landing this morning. Uneventful. I don't have anything to complain about. I felt good about it. I mostly aim for smooth landings, so with that being said, I don't nose up very hard, or I don't try to get it so high I can't see over the dash or what's in front of me. I just nose up a little bit, have a feel or a feeling, a realization, if you will, that my front tire is high enough to not hit before my rear tires, and I just do it by feel. Not really trying to follow any particular procedures or ideas about how it's supposed to be done. You just kind of do it. At least I do. Looks like a Joshua tree over there in the distance. A couple of them. Intermingled with some other vegetation, but I see one behind that tree. That looks like a Joshua tree. I just find them as fascinating trees, which is why I make mention of them when I see them. So once again, this is a hybrid bird. The outside of the aircraft is all Snak Air Livery. The inside of the bird is my livery. The default X-Plane 11 livery that I flipped to my liking. So it's intermingled. The fuselage, the wings, those two files are two that I manipulated for the external aspect of the aircraft. Those are Snak Air. The only file that is the default X-Plane 11 file that I flipped is the cockpit file. the cockpit file. I think the NRM file for the cockpit. I noticed that the Snak Air Livery had a darker look to it than what I could get, so I ended up smudging out the JF on the NRM file. So that one is technically Snak Air as well. So of the 4 files, only one of them is not Snak Air Livery file. So that was where we went by the helicopter. I kind of want to see the helicopter. So I might back it up a little bit. Not that far. I want a closer view of the helicopter for my personal reasons. See, what I was seeing I thought was a ladder. It was just him hovering over the ground and disturbing the dirt, dust. That's all that is. Maybe some exhaust from the helicopter, but I'm going to say mostly probably just dirt disturbing visual. Whatever X-Plane 11's default is. Now I do try to stay on the lines when I'm taxiing. It doesn't always work out that way. Like when I'm turning, I don't try to stay on the lines while I turn. I just re-intercept the line afterwards. But I do like being on the lines. Most of the time. Sometimes I don't care. But in many of my videos, you'll see me on the line. And when I land, I do prefer to be spot on. It doesn't always pan out that way, but I try. If it's really windy, I don't try so hard. But if it's a clear day and there's no winds, I do try to get it lined up good. All right, YouTube. Thank you for flying with me. Have a good day.